Hello, Internet. Still me. We're giving a twofer today. We're going to do April 18th. Begin with Joshua chapter 16, verse 1, chapter 18, verse 28. I'm not sure about this voice. I've tried to kind of dial it in before I started the video. We're going to see. I'm not even going to tell you who it is this time. I'll see if you can guess. All right, so here goes. The southern boundary of the tribes of Joseph, Ephraim, and the half-tribe Manasseh. This boundary extended from the Jordan River at Jericho through the wilderness at the hill country of Bethel. It then went from Bethel to Luz, on to Tara, in the territory of Archtes? Territory of the, I'm going to say Archites, west to the border of the Jephthalites. They're just throwing exceptionally difficult names at me, one after the other. Japhletites. No? Japhletites. That's correct. Japhletites. As far as the lower Beth Horon, then to Gezer, and on over the Mediterranean. The land given to the tribe of Ephraim, the eastern boundary began at Atroth Adah. From there it ran to upper Beth Horon, then on to the Mediterranean Sea. The northern boundary began at the sea, ran east past Machmathath, then continued on past Tanath, Shelah, and Janoah. From Genoa it turned southward to Ataroth and Naarah, and touched Jericho, and ended at the Jordan River, the western half of the northern boundary. It went from Tappuah and followed along the Kana brook to the Mediterranean Sea. Ephraim was also given some of the cities, in the territory of the half-tribe of Manasseh, the Canaanites living there. Gezer was never driven out, so they still live as slaves among the people of Ephraim. Land given to the half-tribe of Manasseh. Joseph's oldest son. The clan of Machir, Manasseh's oldest son, who is the father of Gilead, had already been given the land of Gilead and Bashan, on the east side of the Jordan River. But they were great warriors. So now, land on the west side of the Jordan was given to the clans of Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shittim, Shemida, and Hefer. However, Hefer's son, Zelophehad, grandson of Gilead, great-grandson of Machir, and great-great-grandson of Manasseh, had no sons. He had only 5 daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. These women came to Eleazar the priest, and to Joshua and the Israeli leaders, and reminded them, "The Lord told Moses that we were to receive as much property as the men of our tribe. Remember your oath." So as the Lord had commanded through Moses, these 5 women were given an inheritance along with their 5 great-uncles, and the total inheritance came to 10 sections of land, in addition to the land of Gilead and Bashan across the Jordan River. The northern boundary of the tribe of Manasseh extended southward from the border of Asher to Michmethath, which is east of Shechem. On the south boundary went from Michmethath to the spring of Tappuah. The land of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but the city of Tappuah, on the border of Manasseh's land, belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. From the spring of Tappuah, the border of Manasseh followed the north bank of the brook of Kanah to the Mediterranean Sea. Several cities south of the brook belonged to the tribe of Ephraim, though they were located in Manasseh's territory. The land south of the brook and as far west as the Mediterranean Sea was assigned to Ephraim. The land north of the brook and the east of the sea went to Manasseh. Manasseh's northern boundary was the territory of Asher. The eastern boundary was the territory of Issachar. The half-tribe of Manasseh was also given the following cities, which were situated in the areas assigned to Issachar and Asher: Beth-shean, Ibalam, Dor, Endor, Ta'anak, Megiddo, where there are these three cliffs, with their respective villages. But since the descendants of Manasseh could not drive out the people who lived in those cities, the Canaanites remained. Later on, however, when the Israelis became strong enough, they forced the Canaanites to work as slaves. Then the two tribes of Joseph came to Joshua and asked, "Why have you given us only one portion of land? The Lord has given us such a large populations." "If the hill country of Ephraim is not large enough for you," Joshua replied, "and if you are able to do it, you may clear out the forest land where the Perizzites and Rephaim live." "Fine," said the tribes of Joseph. "The Canaanites in the lowlands around Bethshean and the valley of Jezreel have iron chariots and are too strong for us." "Then you shall have the mountain forests," Joshua replied. "And since you are such a large, strong tribe, you will surely be able to clear it all and live there. I am sure you can drive out the Canaanites from the valleys too, even though they are strong and have iron chariots." After the conquest, although 7 of the tribes of Israel had not yet entered the conquered land God had given them, all Israel gathered at Shiloh to set up the tabernacle. Then Joshua asked them, "How long are you going to wait before clearing out the people living in the land which the Lord your God has given to you? Select 3 men from each tribe. I will send them to scout the unconquered territory and bring back a report of its size and natural divisions, so that I can divide it for you. The scouts will map it into 7 sections, and then I will throw the sacred dice to decide which section will be assigned to each tribe. However, remember that the Levites won't receive any land. They are the priests of the Lord. That is their wonderful heritage. And of course the tribes of Magad and Reuben and the half-tribe of Manasseh won't receive any more, for they already have land on the east side of the Jordan, where Moses promised them that they could settle." The scouts went out to map the country and to bring back their report to Joshua. The Lord could assign the sections of land to the tribes by the throw of the sacred dice. The men did as were told and divided the entire territory into 7 sections, listing the cities in each section. Then they returned to Joshua and the camp of Shiloh. At the tabernacle at Shiloh, the Lord showed Joshua by sacred lottery which tribe should have each section. Land given to the tribe of Benjamin. The section of land assigned to the families of the tribe of Benjamin lay between the territory previously assigned to the tribes of Judah and Joseph. The northern boundary began at the Jordan River, went north of Jericho, then west to the hill country, and to the wilderness of Beth-aven. From there the boundary went south to Luz, although called Bethel. It proceeded down to Ataroth-adah, in the hill country south of lower Beth-horon. There the border turned south, passing the mountain near Beth-horon, and ending at the village of Kiriath-baal, sometimes called Kiriath-jearim, one of the cities of the tribe of Judah. This was the western country. I apologize. This was the western boundary. The southern border ran from the edge of Kiriath-baal over Mount Ephron to the spring of Naphtor, down the base of the mountain beside the valley of Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. From there continued across the valley of Hinnom, crossed south of the old city of Jerusalem, where the Jebusites lived, and continued down to Enrogel. From Enrogel the boundary proceeded northeast to En-shemesh, and on Geliloth, which is opposite the slough of Adumim, and went down to the stone of Bohan, who was a son of Reuben, where it passed along the northern edge of Arba. The border then went down to Arba, ran south past Beth Hoglah, and ended in the north bay of the Dead Sea, which is the southern end of the Jordan River. The eastern border was the Jordan River. This was the land assigned to the tribe of Benjamin. These 26 cities were included in the land given to the tribe of Benjamin: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek-keziz, Beth Arba, Zemaraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Shephar Ammoni, Ophni, Jeba, Gideon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpeh, Shephidah, Mozarekim, Irpil, Tarlah, Zelahapheleth, Jebus, or Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath Jearim. All these cities and their surrounding villages were given to the tribe of Benjamin. Now we will turn to Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 27. As Jesus was passing through Jericho, a man named Zacchaeus, one of the most influential Jews in the Roman tax collecting business, and of course, a very rich man, tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over crowds. I'm sure there are a few halflings out there that can relate. So he ran ahead and climbed into a sycamore tree beside the road to watch from there. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. "Zacchaeus," he said, "quick, come down, for I'm going to be a guest in your home today." Zacchaeus hurriedly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the crowds were displeased. "He's going to be a guest of a notorious sinner," they grumbled. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, "Sir, from now on I will give half my wealth to the poor. If I find I have overcharged anyone on his taxes, I will penalize myself by giving him back 4 times as much." Jesus told him, "This shows that salvation has come to this home today. This man, one of the lost sons of Abraham, and I, the Messiah, have come to search for and to save such souls as his." Because Jesus was nearing Jerusalem, he told a story to correct the impression that the kingdom of God would begin right away. A nobleman living in a certain province was called away to a distant capital of the empire to be crowned king of his province. Before he left, he called together 10 assistants and gave them each $2,000 to invest while he was gone. Some of his people hated him and sent him their Declaration of Independence, stating that they had rebelled but did not acknowledge him as their king. Upon his return, he called in the men to whom he had given the money to find out what they had done with it and what their profits were. The first man reported a tremendous gain, 10 times as much as the original amount. "Fine," the king exclaimed. "You are a good man. You have been faithful with the little I entrusted to you, and as your reward, you shall be governor of 10 cities." The next man also reported splendid gain, 5 times the original amount. "All right," his master said. "You can be governor over 5 cities." But the third man brought back only the money he had started with. "I kept it safe," he said, "because I was afraid you would not demand my profits, for you're a hard man to deal with, taking what isn't yours, and even confiscating the crops that others plant. You vile and wicked slave," the king roared. "Hard am I?" This is another moment where I would like to be more emotional, but it's late and I can't, and it's frustrating. I'll whisper yet. Rewind just slightly. "You vile and wicked slave," the king roared. "Hard am I? That's exactly how I'll be toward you. If you knew so much about me and how tough I am, then why didn't you deposit the money in the bank so that I could at least get some interest on it?" Then, turning to the others standing by, he ordered, "Take the money away from him and give it to the man who earned the most." "Sir," they said, "he has enough already." "Yes," the king replied, "but it is always true that those who have get more, and those who have little soon lose even that. Now, about these enemies of mine who revolted, bring them in and execute them before me." Psalm chapter 87, verses 1 through 7. High on his holy mountain stands Jerusalem, the city of God, the city he loves more than any other. O city of God, what wondrous tales are told of you. Nowadays, when I mention among my friends the names of Egypt and Babylonia, Philistia and Tyre, or even distant Ethiopia, someone boasts that he was born in one or another of those countries. But someday, the highest honor will be to be a native of Jerusalem, for God, above all gods, will personally bless the city. When he registers her citizens, he will place a check mark beside the names of those who were born here. And in the festivals, they'll sing, "All my heart is in Jerusalem." Proverbs for today, chapter 13, verses 11. Wealth from gambling quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows. Well, were you able to guess what this voice was? I hope I got close enough. It's been a long time since I've seen these movies. I gave quite a few hints, so if you know the movies, I imagine you guessed, even if my exact pitch is a bit off. But in any case, I hope you got something from the word, and as always, God bless you.